moment, and we're really looking forward to working with you all. Today, we're going to be talking about how to develop our teacher knowledge and skills. So let us know where you are. We're really interested to hear from you and kind of talk about any questions you have about this topic. And one place where you can obviously develop your skills and knowledge is on the Teaching English website, isn't it, Zaineb?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of different resources available.
Exactly. What resources do you use on the site, Zaineb?
Well, I've joined a number of the courses. I also really enjoy their lesson plans. There's a lot of great lesson plans, which are accompanied with the worksheets that you can use in the classroom as well. There's great articles on many different topics. So whatever you're interested in, you'll probably find something that would, increase your knowledge in something. There's also recorded webinars. So if you missed a webinar, obviously you'll find it on the website as well. So lots of resources.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like you, I use the lesson plans a lot. I also use it to find out kind of maybe gaps in my knowledge about different kind of aspects of skills teaching, but also kind of systems, grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation. And just so everyone knows, there's been a big change, hasn't there? So there is a new website. The website has been updated. And that means maybe if you're accessing the courses, which Zaineb said she takes part in as well, and so do I, you have to do it slightly differently. So if you go on the homepage, please remember you have to kind of scroll down and go past webinars and plans, although obviously you can look at these as well because they're useful, but underneath those you can get to the courses, or you can go to the top of the page on your mobile. There's like the 3 lines, and you click on the 3 lines, and then you can go to professional development, and in there you click on teachers if you're a teacher, and you can get a list of the courses. You have to click on training courses, and then also with teacher educators, there's a teacher educator course running at the moment, helping teachers to learn, and so you can click on that training course as well. So there's some different ways that you can access the course. But obviously, when you access these courses, Zainab, you need to enroll to do them. Yeah. So at the moment, I'm doing the gender course again because it's been updated, and it's quite interesting updates around like the use of AI, which I thought was quite interesting to learn about. And I'm also doing the pronunciation course as well, just as a refresh. How about you, Zainab?
Yes, I'm also doing the pronunciation course. It's always good to learn more about pronunciation. I'm also planning on enrolling in the communicative tasks course. I haven't enrolled in that yet, but that sounds very interesting because I'm very interested in practical tips on how to get students to communicate. So that's something I hope to do in the next couple of weeks.
Okay. Go ahead. Sorry, you were going to say something.
Yeah, so we were talking about how to join the courses. So I'm just going to quickly, for those of you who are new to the website, or new to the courses as well, it's very simple to join these courses, to enroll in the courses, but you first have to have an account with the Teaching English website. So you can't just enroll without an account. And it's very easy to create an account as well. Basically, you need an email for a username and then a password. Now, the part about the password is where many teachers have problems with, is that in many situations, the platform doesn't accept your password. And it just means that you didn't follow the criteria that the password is asking for. So for example, you would need to have between, I think, 8 to 12 characters. So if it's less than 8 characters, it's not going to accept it. If it's more than 12 characters, it's not going to accept it either. You need at least one uppercase letter. So you need to make one of the letters capital. You need a number as well. So you need to put a number somewhere in your password. If you want to make it stronger, it will tell you how strong your password is. You can also add a special character like a punctuation mark or a question mark. But don't panic if it doesn't accept your password. It doesn't mean that you can't create an account on the website. It just means that you need to follow the criteria that they're asking for on the website.
Yeah, definitely. And if you don't save it to the site, write it down somewhere so that you remember it for the next
You
time.
might forget it.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's also easy to, reset your password. You just have to click on forget password, and then you reset. You create a new password. So it's quite easy. So don't worry if you forget your password either.
Yeah, exactly. So once you're enrolled on a course, what should you do next, Zaineb?
Yeah, and I think this is a question that came up in the Facebook discussion a lot. There were a lot saying, okay, I created an account, I enrolled in the courses, but what do I do now? And you just need to go into my courses. So in the new site, you will find my courses, but you can also go into your courses through my portfolio, like you used to in before the site was updated. So you can go to my portfolio, you can go to my courses, and you will find all your courses there. Click on the course that you're doing, and you will see your modules. And then you need to work on the modules to complete the course. I do want to say something about the modules. It's important that you complete all the modules and get 100%. You will see a progress bar under each module. And it needs to say 100%. Some teachers complete all the modules and it says 100%. However, the overall course progress is not 100%. And that may be because you didn't download the resources. So each course comes with resources. And if you don't download them, you don't have to read them. You just need to download them. So if you don't download them, you're not going to reach 100% progress. So it's very important that you actually download the resources. Make sure it's the first thing you do. As soon as you're starting a course, just download those resources. You will notice immediately that your progress increases, and then work on the modules. Another problem some of the teachers have with not getting 100% in the modules is sometimes they don't watch the video until the very end. So if you watched half of it or part of it, or maybe just, switched it off a few seconds before it finished, according to the platform, you didn't watch it. So you need to make sure you watch the video all the way up until the very end. And then you'll notice that your progress is at 100%.
Yeah, I actually, it's funny you mentioned the videos, because I usually don't watch the videos. I read the transcript, just because it's the way I learn. And so I press play on the video, let the video play, and then I just read it myself. I turn the sound off and just read it myself.
Yep. Another option.
Yeah, exactly. But you mentioned the resources, and sometimes, because you have to find them, don't you? And it can be the same. Maybe sometimes you can only see module 1 when you're doing the course. Isn't that true?
Yes. And this is another problem we've had with some of the teachers, is they can't see all the modules, especially if you're using a phone. You'll only see module 1. And basically there's a little bar under the word module 1. You just have to swipe that, move it a bit, and you will see the rest of the modules. And yes, the resources are usually at the end. If you're using a desktop, you'll see them under each other, but on a mobile, you're gonna have to move the bar so that you can see the rest of them. But they're all there, don't worry.
Okay. Well, it's lots of great information there, and we've got people from lots of different countries. So from YouTube, we've got people in Ukraine, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and from the Facebook community, we have people from Azerbaijan, Serbia, Libya, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Tajikistan, Malawi, Cuba, India, and France. So welcome all of you. It's great to have you here. So if you have any questions about the courses, about how to do them, about the best way to kind of approach them, or maybe even a technical problem, maybe we can help with that. As well. There's a comment here actually from someone who I think is in Ukraine, saying, like you, Zaineb, they're doing the communication course, and she says it's awesome. So that's great. I hope you're having the same experience as well, Zaineb. Good. And I suppose that's one thing that's kind of related to the theme of the courses at the moment, which is knowing the subject. And obviously sometimes we as teachers can know a lot about English, but maybe not so much about how to make it communicative for our learners. So I think that's a really useful thing. Just one more question. So one question that we tend to get maybe towards the end of a theme is about maybe like the certificates that come with the courses, because sometimes people think that when they finish a course, they get an email with a certificate. So how do people get them?
Yes, so that is a common question we get. Many teachers finish the course and they sit and wait for an email with the certificate, but that's not the case. The once you complete the course and the overall progress is at 100%, the platform will generate or issue a certificate for you. And all you need to do is go to my account and then go to my awards, and you will find your certificate there. You just need to download it. And if you want, you can print it out. Otherwise, you can just, save it on your phone or on your computer. But it is generated by the platform. But you have to have completed everything, and everything needs to say 100%.
Okay, yeah, and I mean, if you have problems with finding this, or you have any other problems, what's the best thing to do, Zainab, in that situation? Obviously, you can ask us in the Facebook community, and we can hopefully supply you with a video to support you with your issue. But what else can people do, Zainab?
Well, there is a frequently asked question page, so it would be worth visiting that first and seeing if your question is there. It has most of the general problems that teachers face when they're trying to navigate the platform. If your answer is not there, or if you're having a technical issue, it's worth clicking on the help button, which you can find at the bottom right of the page. It'll just ask you for your full name and the email you're using for your account, and just a very brief description of your problem. You will then receive an email from the tech team asking you for more details. They might ask you to, send a screenshot. Give them whatever information you can. Be as clear as possible. Very quickly, they resolve your issue. So the help button is there for you. I think it might be down at the moment. The site is being updated. So if you don't find it, it will come back, once these technical issues, or once we come out of this updating phase.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Yeah, so there might be, because of the new website, there might be a few technical issues. You can obviously ask us in the community what to do in those situations, or you can be patient and wait. And usually there's some kind of update. I think one thing that I've got better at, sometimes when I've been doing courses in the past, like let's say you can't access it and there's a problem, like you want to solve it straight away. Whereas sometimes it's best just to kind of say, okay, I'll leave it and see if it's working tomorrow. And usually it's working. There's a couple of questions here and comments, Zainab. So someone's asked about the courses that are running. So would you like to name the courses you have? So obviously the topic at the minute is knowing the subject, and Zainab's mentioned, for example, communicative tasks, which is one that's running. And I mentioned how to teach pronunciation and gender in language education, and those ones are running. There's also the Teaching English in Primary, understanding language systems, which is about kind of functional language, grammar, things like that. How to adapt resources, teaching English to refugees and displaced learners.
There's also assessing learning and inclusive classrooms as well.
Yeah.
So I think some of these were also available from April and are continuing up until September.
Exactly.
But then communicative tasks is actually a new one. It's completely new. So those of you who've done most of the courses, this is an opportunity to try a new one.
Yeah, exactly. And remember, some of the old ones have updated. And like I was saying with gender and language education, there's a new kind of AI element to that, which is quite interesting to read about. And then we've also, someone said that they've done 3 courses. So they've done inclusive classrooms, teaching resources, and how to adapt resources, and the primary one, and they're going to do the assessing learning. So that's great to hear people doing lots of courses. But we had a question, didn't we, Zainab, in the community about, okay, I'm new to this, and there are lots of courses to do. how do I choose which one to do? Like, where do I start? And it can be a bit overwhelming, I think, especially if you're not really sure. So what would you do in that situation?
Yes, it's a question I've had a lot of teachers ask me, like, where do I start? There's so many of. Well, first of all, you want to think about what is it that you want to develop in. You want to think about what you're interested in, and you want to prioritize as well. So if you are interested in, for example, improving certain skills, then you might want to try the How to Teach Listening course, assessing learning course. Think about what it is that you want to develop. Another thing that you need to keep in mind is some of these courses close sooner than others. So we have some courses that only last for 3 months, but then we have others that last for an entire year. So you might want to start with the ones that close sooner. So for example, we have communicative tasks, teaching English to primary, and understanding language systems that end at the end of September. So you might want to start with those. Also, we are in the summer, so I know a lot of you are not teaching. You might want to maybe do a course that, increases your knowledge in something, helps you theoretically, and then leave the courses where you get ideas that you can apply in your classroom during the school year. So you've got courses like how to teach listening, how to teach pronunciation. These maybe can be done late August, early September at the beginning of the school year when you are teaching, so you can actually apply what you're learning, and then maybe do something like understanding language systems now. Just help increase your knowledge about specific topics. But it really is up to you. What is it that you are interested in, or what is it that you want to develop, and then prioritize. But one tip I do want to give is to not enroll in all the courses at once. It's extremely overwhelming, and usually most teachers who do this tend to not complete any of them. So choose the course, or courses if you want to do one or two at the same time, but wait until you've actually completed it before you start on a new one. The courses are there, they're not going anywhere, so you don't need to enroll in all of them. But just like I said, think about when it closes, and then make some kind of plan on how or in which order you want to take these courses.
No, I think that's a really good point. I think another thing to think about is the CPD framework that you can also find on the website. So the Continuing Professional Development Framework for Teachers, and you can kind of look at the different professional practices and kind of think about, okay, where am I as a teacher? What things do I still need to know about a particular area? Where are my weaknesses? And then kind of focus on that and kind of select the course based on that kind of area. So, for example, I don't know, like one thing that I think I could probably be better at is kind of integrating digital technologies. So I'm using a more kind of a wider variety of resources with my learners. So I would probably kind of maybe think about doing that. So be kind of honest with yourself about areas where you think you need to improve. And that can also be quite a motivating place to start. And then in terms of like when you've kind of got your course and you kind of start on it, I think it's important to think about when you do it and kind of managing your time. I mean, we I'm sure you say this as well, Zainab, is to do things little and often, and that's the kind of tip that I would say is like when you're doing these courses, don't kind of say, oh, I'm going to sit down on Saturday afternoon and spend 3 hours doing it, because that can be quite hard. Whereas like if you say to yourself, okay, I'm going to take the bus to work, and I can sit on the bus on my phone for like 10, 15, 20 minutes, however long your bus journey is, and just do a little bit there. And one thing I also like to do is to actually stop halfway through a task, so I'm kind of motivated to go back to it and complete it. But it's different for different people. I mean, how about you, Zainab?
Yeah. I just want to go back to that point where you said, sitting on it for 3 hours and completing a course. I know that might happen to some of the teachers because, the course is ending and they think, oh, I have no time, I'm just going to sit and do all of it now. You always benefit more from a course if you are doing a little at a time, because it gives you time to think about what you studied or what you learned, and then to also apply it maybe. But when you do it all at once, it's a lot of information at one time. And a lot of that information is just going to get lost. And the chances of you actually, using it or applying it is a lot less than when you do it a little at a time. So I know, you're all working and you all have families and, social life. But like you said, set, a time every evening or twice or three times a week where you're just working for 15, 20 minutes. And then you can complete the course, but try not to do all of it at one time.
Yeah, and I think one thing that we've spoken about before, yes, we were talking about it yesterday, was kind of not doing it in isolation as well. So when you're kind of doing a course, think about other people who can do it with you, because then you kind of motivate each other to do it, and maybe you could arrange a kind of meeting, even if it's just like a WhatsApp meeting where you're just messaging each other about it. Like at the end of a week where you kind of say to each other, right, let's get unit 1 done by the end of this week. So we do unit 1, and then you can maybe have a chat with some colleagues in a WhatsApp group, or even face-to-face in a coffee shop, if possible, where you can discuss the things that you've learned and kind of explore with it. Because sometimes, yeah, I think one thing I've noticed sometimes when you study online, if you're on your own, and you're just studying, it's maybe not as motivating. Whereas if you've got the chance to discuss with other people, then that's a really, it's kind of a bit more, it forces you to complete it, because you think, okay, I need to get unit 1 done by the end of the week, otherwise my friends will be angry with me. And there's a comment actually in the community, actually, someone has mentioned, teachers can share their classroom experiences in several ways. They can participate in discussions during the courses, which you can in our Facebook community, but also it says contribute to community of practice forums. Maybe you could do this with other people, like maybe you're in a community of practice where you live. You can join that community, say you're doing the course, share some reflections. So yeah, I think that's a really nice point.
And I mean, the British Council Courses for Teachers Facebook page also has a lot of discussion posts related to the courses. So you can always visit the Facebook page and, just contribute to the discussion, see what other teachers have to say. There's a lot of questions also from teachers sometimes. Being able to help each other out also would be very helpful as well.
Yeah. And I think kind of that idea of also kind of cascading knowledge can be quite motivating as well. So you could say, like, as a kind of professional development, let's say, okay, I want to do the Teaching English in Primary course because I'm new to teaching primary, I haven't taught it before. So you do the course, but then you kind of think, oh, I could pass what I've learned on to other people. So maybe think about how you could do that, maybe in a WhatsApp group, or maybe you could even do a workshop at your school with other people who are doing teaching, who are new to teaching primary, and you could share those ideas. And then that gets you kind of training experience as well, which is motivating for you.
Yes, and I've seen that happen with some teachers. I know they've taken courses, and then after that they decided to do some kind of workshop just so that they can benefit teachers. And they're brilliant. They're very happy. The teachers who attended it are very happy. So it can make a difference to you and the people who attend as well.
Yeah, and I mean, one thing I've noticed from training is sometimes it's more motivating when it comes from a peer rather than from someone else. Like, for example, if I went to deliver a workshop versus if you as a teacher went to deliver a workshop, they're more likely to listen to someone who's their peer rather than someone who just appears from like somewhere else and kind of says, oh, have you tried this idea? Because there can be that slight suspicion. It's like, oh, you're not in my context, you don't know my classroom. Whereas if it's your peer, they do know your context, they do know your classroom. So I think that's quite good. Yeah. There was a comment actually related. Oh, sorry, Zainab, you wanted to jump in with something?
No, I just wanted to make one more point on, how you can make the most of these courses is go beyond the courses. Take advantage of all the resources in the Teaching English website. I mean, there are lesson plans, there's webinars, there's articles, there's podcasts. So if you're taking a course, for example, on teaching English in primary, There's so much information on teaching English in primary in other areas, you know, outside from the course. So you'll find loads of articles. You'll find lesson plans, you know, ready to use lesson plans. There'll also be probably some webinars as well, podcasts. So go beyond the courses and also just, you know, explore what other things are available on that website as well.
Yeah, and I think there's lots of kind of wraparound things that are attached to the courses. Like you mentioned before, the kind of the resources that come with each course, and one of those resources as well is the workbook that you have. And in the workbook, you have the opportunity to kind of click on different links that can take you to podcasts, can take you to webinars, like you said, but also like lesson plans. And one thing I personally find quite helpful on that workbook document is the length of time it takes to do it. So it's like, oh, this is a 5-minute read, or this is a 60-minute webinar. So you can kind of look at it, and if you don't have a lot of time, you can say, all right, I'll just look at this 5-minute article, and that will help me. And I think that's definitely useful, because I know teachers are busy people. You don't have 60 minutes to sit down and watch a webinar every week. So I think having that kind of timing is definitely useful.
Yeah, it helps you manage your time as well.
Yes, definitely. And obviously we have these Facebook events where you can join and bring questions, because me and Zainab are definitely happy to answer any questions that come up. And also there is the community itself, where we post discussion points, lesson ideas, different kinds of things that we can discuss. So please join that, and that can work as part of the motivation for doing the courses. Like we were talking before, you're not on your own, because there are lots of other people doing the courses. There's a question here actually, Zainab, an extra one, which is quite a nice one that's kind of related to the courses. So does it make a difference if we enroll sooner or later? What do you think?
Okay, I think what they mean is, does the closing date change depending on when they enroll? No, the closing date is so you know, if you enroll a week before it closes, because I think that's like there's a deadline to when to enroll as well, and usually that's a week before this, you would still have just 1 week to finish the course. Or if you enroll 3 months when they first open, and you have 3 full months, so the closing date stays the same. It doesn't change depending on when you enroll.
Yeah, and I think that's maybe comes back to your point that you were making earlier about like prioritizing which courses to do, because we do have evergreen courses that are running like all the time, pretty much. Whereas the ones that are within the theme of knowing the subject, they are just running now. So it's best if you kind of do those as soon as possible, because they might not come back. Yeah, exactly. And they just remember as well, the courses do return. So some of the courses are always running, and some of the courses, although they are closed, they may reopen. One thing to remember with that is if it's exactly the same course, and let's say you didn't finish it, like you started a week before the end and you only get through a few units, if the course comes back later, you should be able to restart it. But if there have been changes to the course, you can't always access the same course. You might have to do it again. But if you've done the getting started module, you won't probably need to redo that. There's one more question here as well, which I think before we wrap up. So it says, will the course materials remain accessible anytime after enrollment, or is there an expiry date?
So if you've downloaded the resources and the workbook, you got them. You don't need to be on the website to use them. You just need to download them. So the workbook, actually, you can, I think, download anytime. It doesn't have to be even during a time where the course is available. You can always download the workbook. So no, they don't. I mean, as long as you've downloaded them, you have them.
Yeah, but if you wanted to maybe take notes from the course, or then you need to do it while the course is open, basically.
Yeah.
So that's one reason as well to use the workbook, because in that workbook there's kind of sections where you can take notes and reflections as you're going through each of the units. So I'd say that was probably the best idea, to make sure that even if the materials aren't accessible, you have the ideas in your workbook. Okay. All right then. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today and for bringing some kind of interesting questions. I hope we've given you some ideas about how to keep on developing your knowledge and skills, and using the Teaching English website and the other resources that we have. And please, obviously, come back. And we have another event next week. I can't remember. What was the topic again, Zainab?
It's on understanding language systems.
Yes, it was Ask Us Anything. Yeah. So obviously, during this week, if you have any questions about understanding language systems, please put them in the community, and we can discuss them next week. So thank you very much, everybody. And
yeah, thank you everyone for joining us.
Yeah, and we'll see you all next week.
Bye. Bye-bye.